Hello everybody, this is Refresh and I'm here to take a look at Sleeve King's premium tarot card sleeves, and these are going to be for cards that are size 70 by 120 millimeters. These sleeves in particular are being developed as a premium line of sleeves for the brand Sleeve Kings, and they are being positioned as a replacement for Fantasy Flight Supply's clear sleeves for tarot board game size games. And so those of you who have experience with Fantasy Flight sleeves know that they have a very particular dimensionality to them. And so these are hopefully going to be able to fill that spot because Fantasy Flight Supply is no longer making sleeves. These sleeves are clear, and you can purchase one pack of these at an MSRP of $3 per pack, and you get 55 sleeves for your $3, which averages out to around 5 cents per sleeve. This is about half the cost of a Fantasy Flight pack of sleeves, and so even if this were only half of the quality, I think that would still be an acceptable trade considering all things. Let's go ahead and take a look at what's inside. As you can see, these sleeves are smooth and glossy on both sides. And now we're going to count to make sure that there are 55 sleeves here. It is important to note that this pack of sleeves comes in 55 instead of 50, and so you get a few extra sleeves than the usual 50 sleeve pack. Okay, there are exactly 55 sleeves in here, so you're getting what you paid for. Now to check the thickness of these sleeves, 50 sleeves comes in at exactly 1 centimeter, and that is 200 microns per sleeve, or 100 microns each face. Now to check the dimensions, these sleeves are 73 millimeters wide by 123 millimeters tall. Now I'm going to compare them to one of the Fantasy Flight sleeves to see how close they fit. As you can see, these sleeves are identical in their dimensions, and based on previous measurements, they are identical in their thickness as well. So these are a very close match for Fantasy Flight sleeves in terms of their dimensions, and if you put them side by side, it's really hard to tell them apart. So I think that Sleeve Kings is actually going to live up to their promise, at least in terms of you being able to use these sleeves in place of Fantasy Flight sleeves when these bust and you need to start replacing your sleeves. Now to test the fit, I have one Century Spice Road card here. This is slightly taller than the average tarot card at 1 millimeter taller, and we're going to see how it fits in the sleeve. The fit is pretty good. There is just a little bit of play around the edges, and there's only a little bit of space at the top. However, if you remember that this card is a little taller than the average tarot card, you're going to actually note that there's going to be a little bit more space than usual for sleeves of this size, which is in keeping with Fantasy Flight Supply's sizing. Now we're going to do the sleeve test. I have 45 Century Spice Road cards here, and we're going to put them in 45 of these sleeves. Get ready, get set, go. Alright, it took 1 minute and 50 seconds to sleeve these 45 cards, and that is actually a very decent time of 2.44 seconds per card sleeved. This is among one of the faster sleeving cards, and just a tiny bit faster than Fantasy Flight Supply's actual sleeves as well. I felt like the sleeving process was easy, and the card slipped in without much resistance, and it was easy to go from one sleeve to the next sleeve. Now that we have sleeved these cards, we are going to check for their consistency and their uniformity out of the package. These sleeves are entirely uniform on the sides and entirely uniform on the top, so that is a good sign, and I didn't really notice any issues with consistency between the sleeves out of the package as I sleeved them, and so I think that this is going to be a pretty good quality product. It's called premium, and I think it lives up to that title. Now it's time for the shuffle test. I have a deck of Century Spice Road cards here, sleeved up and ready to go. We're going to shuffle them 100 times and see how long it takes. Ready, set, go. Alright, that, that took 2 minutes and 30 seconds to shuffle these 100 times. And that is a very respectable speed of 1.5 seconds per shuffle. That means that these sleeves are about as fast as Fantasy Flight sleeves in terms of their shuffle, and the shuffle feels decent. It's not going to be exceptional, but the cards do slip in with just a little bit of extra effort. If you are good at waterfalling your cards in, then it's going to be a little faster. And there is a bit of resistance as you push the sleeves up against each other, but yeah, I don't think it's a big problem, and I don't think it's going to be a hindrance to anybody. So I think the handling of these sleeves is pretty good. Now that I have handled these sleeves a bit, we're going to see if they have any additional wear on them. So let's go ahead and take a look. Okay, upon first examination, after about 100 shuffles, the sleeves look like they are in really good shape overall. I don't really notice any splitting and bending of corners, so the worst of these issues are not present. And the sleeves don't really show much fade in terms of their glossiness, and nor do they show any significant scuffing. And so I think these sleeves actually live up to the premium label and will hold up over time as you handle them. Now it's time for the shake test. I have stacked these Sleeve Century Spice Road cards into a deck. I'm going to shake the table they're on for a couple of seconds to see if the deck holds up. Ready, set, go. The deck didn't budge at all, so that is a good sign. I think this is going to be very stable, and as you can see, the deck doesn't hardly move unless you're applying force with your finger, and even then it holds up surprisingly well, despite the fact that gravity should cause this thing to topple with other sleeves. Next, I'm going to do the draw test. I'm going to draw 3 cards off the top of this deck and see if the deck holds together. Ready, set, go. No problem taking the cards off the top. They actually pick up quite easily without sliding against one another, so I really appreciate the usability of this particular sleeve when it's in decked form. What do I think about Sleeve King's Premium Tarot card sleeves? I think that these are, one, an excellent replacement for those of you who are looking for sleeves to replace your Fantasy Flight Supply sleeves, because they are the perfect size in terms of their thickness and in terms of their dimensions, so they should slip in quite well. I think the quality is actually quite comparable to the original Fantasy Flight sleeves, but the nice thing about these particular sleeves is that the price is also very reasonable and on the value side when it comes to sleeves of this size. In fact, these sleeves are slightly less expensive than my previous value frontrunners in BCW. And while they aren't as inexpensive as the thinner 40 micron thick soft sleeves, they are actually surprisingly close in price, and so I really am impressed with these sleeves. If you are looking for a premium sleeve to sleeve your tarot sized cards, then I would recommend checking out Sleeve King's sleeves. If you have any experience with these sleeves, let me know what your experience was in the comments below. I have surveys in the description box below that you can click on if you have any experience with these sleeves or other sleeves of this size, and that information will be available at the Innate Games' resource page. If you found this video helpful, hit the like button. If you'd like to see more videos like these, you can hit subscribe. This was Refresh. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.